Seven, 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 seven. わずかな星がふるさとだ。ウルトラセブン、ファイターセブン、ウルトラセブン、セブン、セブン。すずめみんなのパートナーでもウルトラアイデスパー。セブン、セブン、セブン、セブン、セブン、セブン。諸星団の名を借りてウルトラセブン、ヒーローセブン、ウルトラセブン、セブン、セブン。倒せ火を吐く大怪獣、ウルトラビームデストライク。
Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q episode 24. My name is Red. I'm joined by Mel.
There's going to be an Among Us joke here, but the imposter is Audacity, who is now my enemy.
Yeah, Audacity hates Mel. So we, as I mentioned in our Blazar episode, which if you didn't listen to it, this is your first time hearing about this, we are not recording on our usual day because, our usual recording session, got fucked. We lost a pretty significant amount of audio.
Yeah, we lost like an hour.
Yeah, but in our usual fashion, we had only managed to talk about one episode of Ultraseven so far. So,
I like how you carried over the saying Ultraman instead of Ultraseven.
Shush, shut up. I get. I couldn't. All the evidence gone, and I had to do it again.
Gonna insert the Markiplier video here right now.
Fuck's sake. 7. What? Excuse me. So yes, no Ryzen this week, as was mentioned last. Oh, hang on, I'm gonna edit this out. Drink. Alright, I should be good.
Alright.
Obviously no Ryzen this week, what with him being off in Canada somewhere.
Yeah.
It seems to be some kind of holiday. He seems to be having a nice time, which was not the intention. It was punishment for not knowing, for getting it wrong about the number of guys.
Yeah. And so he gets to see, like, anime tourism, except for IBO battle scenes.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. That was funny. So, I'm not gonna repeat everything that I talked about last time.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I will just say, I will reiterate, I dropped 5 Precure because I didn't like it, and I started Fresh, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm enjoying Fresh.
I didn't say this last time, but I just gotta say, I dislike Fresh's opening song.
Okay, so here's the thing with the OP for Fresh. I didn't want to say it last time either. She can't sing. What's happening?
It's the most I need to rewatch Fresh and form a better opinion of it because it's been a long time. But the opening, at least, garbage. Grading on my
terrible.
Terrible.
Terrible. What the fuck? Like, maybe the only Precure OP I've seen that's bad.
Yeah, most of them are, like, fine. Or good.
Yeah, and some of them are, like, outstanding.
Yeah.
But, this one, trash. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Get someone who can sing. What's going on here? I assume it's the actor for the main character, maybe.
I'm not sure. I have to check.
Which
I'm not gonna do it now, but
is like there was a whole thing with the first season of Symphogear, where they had a concert for the first season, and they've never released any footage from it.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't sing yet.
Oh my goodness.
So they've kept that under wraps. They've just been like, we're not putting that footage out. That's just a private one for anyone who came on the day.
Just tangential to Simple Gear. It is funny that like in almost every Magic Girl show that Nana Mizuki's in, she's like playing the same archetype except for Heartcatch.
Yeah, seeing she's one of the two main girls in Heartcatch.
She's pink. She's the pink. She's Cure Blossom.
She's that's ridiculous. that's not Nana Mizuki.
The funny thing is, Blossom's also not the archetypal pink because she's also an extreme introvert.
Well, I don't want to know anything about Heartcatch.
Sorry. I got excited.
This is the only one where I'm like, I want to know nothing.
Yeah, my bad.
You're good. My other thing that I did, I have more to say about Final Fantasy XIV than I did when last time I said that I had started Final Fantasy XIV. Because in the space of the last 6 hours, 3 things have happened that have made me mad.
Okay.
Which is, I say made me mad. One of them I was like, okay, I kind of knew this was going to happen. I think this like, Razan mentioned this. I don't know if it was on podcast or off, but he mentioned it somewhere. Was the thing about there's a dungeon where you have to go quell rebellious slave giants, and I was like, sure, okay, that's terrible. I will play your evil game. That's okay. And then the other thing was the casino. The Golden Saucer, they show you through it, and they're like, "Oh, this is a really fun place to be." And I'm like, "This is a fun. I can't wait to hang out here and play cards with people." And then the proprietor shows up and is like, "Yeah, it was a real, like, because like all it's got, it's got all like the staff are all like women in bunny suits, basically. Classic.
Okay. Classic.
And the thing with the proprietor shows up and is like, yeah, after the war and the refugees from Alamigo or whatever, it's been a real nightmare trying to figure out what to do with all those refugees. But I started this casino to employ them. I was like, all these women in bunny suits are all refugees.
This is
what the fuck?
Naze turned by moment.
My jaw hit the fucking floor. I was like, because it was like fully on. I've done them a favor.
Yeah.
He's like fully employed. He's like hired the cheapest labor possible.
This is so evil.
Of refugees.
Okay, so still early on, I assume.
Bring me the sexiest refugees you can find for my casino.
No.
What were you gonna say? Sorry.
So this is it? Can you tell this is the game made by the FF16 guys?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna get into it, but it's funny that incidentally, I was playing a JRPG yesterday where there's a scripted battle where you just watch an army just kill some refugees, and it's like, oh, cool, great.
Mm-hmm. The third thing that happened like an hour ago or something, was I got to the end of them showing me the player housing in one of the 3 towns. And at the end of the quest, the NPC that sent me to go find out if they could get a house there. Sorry, went back to go tell them, no, you can't, it's for players. And she goes, where's my 40 acres and a chocobo? And I'm like, what? Excuse me? What the... Like, translation is a difficult job. But I got no sympathy for whatever the hell that is. What's going on? What? I assume the original Japanese is not a 40 acres and a mule joke. Very strange.
Actually,
No,
don't.
I. What was that? Go ahead.
Well, actually, don't get 40 Acres and a Mule with the references.
So it's 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 basically 40 Acres and a Mule is like a very it's like a famous phrase referring to a plan of like post slavery, like post American Civil War plan to give like freed slaves land to work, like to of their own that they could own, and it was a broken promise, and the idea of I just feel like bizarre reference to make.
Yeah,
this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
What
that is
are
a
you
very
doing?
bizarre thing.
This is like if I looked at the prices of houses in Britain and went, oh, I'll never own my own place, and then started blaming Andrew Jackson. It was absolutely unhinged. Wow. Wild. Anyway, those are my I'm otherwise having a very, very good time with Final Fantasy XIV.
How's the combat? I've only played a bit of 14, but the class I played was like a mage, and I was like, this is interesting and weird, but I've never played an MMO. I'm curious, like, if I ever played it, I'd be curious to play, like, the different jobs just because I'm interested in how they all play mechanically, but, you know. I might be better served playing, like, FF12 or, like, a Xenoblade game if I wanted to play MMO combat, but, like, in a type of game I'd enjoy, which is, like, a single-player RPG.
I think that's definitely probably the way to go. The thing with like I'm still under level 30, so I don't have any of the like advanced jobs yet. I'm not a dragoon. I'm just a lancer. And I think lancer is like supposed to be kind of boring until you get dragoon, which is fine. I don't have like loads to do, but it will fill out.
That's a weird thing about FF14 when I touched it. It was like you start off with like the basic generic classes, and then at level 30 you get like the actual Final Fantasy jobs, and it feels I have to check again what I got, because it's like what class was mine, just because it was like what to do. What
kind of thing was it? Was it magic?
It was magic. It's the one that becomes the summoner.
I mean, that could be. I don't know. Thaumaturge or Arcanist or Conjurer?
It might be Conjurer. Let me just see. Oh, Arcanist. Arcanist, which becomes like a. It becomes the summoner, and then also another one. It's the only one that becomes like two.
The scholar as well, I think.
Right, something like that. And I thought it was neat, but also it was like playing a mage class for the first time does feel a bit weird, because I'm like. It de-emphasizes the basic auto attack, I think. Though I guess like you're using your cooldowns more, which is more what
the auto. I mean, you say that the auto attack does not feel important at all to me. Melee DPS either. Okay. I'm extremely just like running through like a 3-hit combo. And you know the. Having like abilities to like put between those, but it's it's a bit bare bones at the minute, but it will come together. I'm mostly the most fun I've had is crafting shit. I became a leather worker, and I was like, oh, this is fun. Like this is actually like good. I like the crafting. I was like, oh, that's a revelation. That doesn't happen.
What does this do for you, like in a game?
I mean, you can, as far as I know, craftable equipment is viable in the game.
I just meant like, as a leather worker, do you like give leather to people?
You can set up shops, like a retainer for you. Like people can buy stuff from you. You can, yeah. Yeah,
because I remember like hearing on like a podcast that was talking about like Ultima Online, how there are people who just got like into baking bread, and like, oh, that's interesting.
I'm realizing I'm the kind of person who could be like that. There's there's a chef class. It's called they call it culinarian. They should have just called it fucking chef. The translation is a little much. I'm like, I have seen people say in comparison with say that the Japanese lines are actually pretty dry in comparison to the English, and I'm like, by dry, do you mean not fucking stupid? Do you mean not constantly going like the most nonsense Game of Thrones high fake Shakespearean English shit? It's terrible. It's bad.
You know what?
I don't like it.
You know what I'd be curious about is how you'd react to like the actual Evil East stuff, because like the 14, 16 guys are definitely inspired by Matsuno's stuff, but like,
I mean, the thing is, and I posted this, was I'm not immune to this, because like I tweeted something like flirting versus harassment, but it's Dragon's Dogma English dialogue versus Final Fantasy XIV English dialogue, because Dragon's Dogma also kind of doing this, but it's not stupid. I can't pin it down, but like every now and then it pulls out a new word, and I'm like, why have you done this? But yeah, that's it. I said I wasn't going to repeat myself about anything, and then I had like 20 minutes of new stuff to say.
Well, that's fine. It's not repeating, so it's fine.
Anyway, yeah, that's all. I'm watching Fresh Precure. It's good. The girls are good.
Yeah, Mickey's good.
I'm about to meet the dog girl properly, so I guess we'll find out if she's as good as the other two.
Yeah. Love how Mickey's catchphrase is, "I'm perfect." I'm like, yeah, you are.
Yes.
So true.
She looks in the mirror. I'm perfect. It's like, damn straight.
Need more blues like her, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, I didn't have anything else.
Okay. So last time I brought like 3 things, and then 2 of them extremely didn't matter. So I won't talk about 2 of them.
What were the 2 things that didn't matter?
Well, one was Shadow of the Conjurer.
All right.
Yeah. For that, I just say, I don't know, just go listen to Shelf by Genre for smart people talking about it. Because I had no thoughts. I was just like, oh, cool book. These smart people are telling me about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they also had the King Oger update, but like I also, let's wait. Show's still going.
Mm-hmm.
I can wait.
Show's still going.
Yeah, I can also just like wait for Razin to be here, and then I can use the same jokes, and then he can laugh at them.
Yes. There we go.
Yeah. Anyway, so here's the big thing. So you audience may remember Gatchaman Crowds. Didn't watch season 2. But I mentioned watching another show that inspired me to watch Gatchaman Crowds. And that show, which I have now finished, is our newest entry on the Sentai Segue, Chojin Sentai Jetman, the 1991 written by Toshiki Inoue season of Super Sentai.
Yeah.
Now,
we lost a lot of audio about Jetman. Rip.
Fucking did. I trying to think of what to say, because I'm like, I gave the whole spiel, and it's just like, oh man, I gotta give my spiel again. And Red already knows what I'm gonna say, basically. Yeah, so Jetman, 1991. For context, this was like Sentai was in a downswing because one guy had written this shit every season for like 9 years in a row. He was getting burnt out, and they were like, oh man, this is probably going to be the last season of Sentai. Spoilers, it wasn't. And it's because Jetman is good. It's a good show. So, when I say, oh yes, in a way save Sentai, I do mean it in the kind of the literal sense of the term, because, there was a real possibility that there wasn't going to be Sentai after this. Perhaps less true to say that of Dawn Brothers, but still is like, significant that, they brought it was a significant thing because of his work on Jetman that they brought him back for Dawn Brothers, especially after he hadn't been working on Sentai or like big shows for a long time. And the fact that Dawn Brothers was a success just by being like weird and different is also like good sign that they're shaking things up and doing the right thing. But yeah,
people like Dawn Brothers.
Yeah, apparently, so obviously it's not just Inoue, so you have the director and producers and other people doing stuff. In fact, I feel like it was one of the producers, director who was like, "Oh, I know what we need to make an exciting new Sentai. We need to make a trendy love story." Those exact terms. So Inoue did that. He made what he always loves to do, a superhero story that's also just a J-drama. The premise being the Earth Defense Force wants to make the ultimate superhuman soldiers Jetman, because if you have the greatest soldiers to protect the peace, everything will be peaceful forever, obviously. So they recruit power couple Ryu and Rie, become Jetman, using the power of Birdonic waves. But I don't know, things go wrong when they're attacked by the interdimensional invaders, the Byram, who want to conquer Earth. Rie gets sucked into the vacuum of space and dies, asterisk. The Birdonic waves scatter and hit 4 random civilians on Earth. And then Ryu is like, well, I am the military guy on this team of dysfunctional civilians, and we gotta save the world. So you got your 5 Rangers. Red Eagle is Ryu. He's like the straight-laced, do your duty military guy, though to some extent this is like a coping mechanism for the fact that his fiancée died, asterisk. The deuteragonist is Gaiuki, Black Condor, who's like...
Our guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, forgot to mention, because we were talking about like how we talked about this already. Yeah, this show's a Gatchaman ripoff. should mention that.
Yes. This show is like, go find the opening for Jetman. Fucking like frame 1. You're like, we're doing Gatchaman. We're just doing Gatchaman.
Explicitly, that's why they're all like Gatchaman birds, except for like Ryu, who's like Red Hawk instead of Eagle. But don't worry about it. Guy is like the kind of selfish bad boy. He like does jazz, he plays poker and smokes and hangs out with women, does misogyny sometimes, but gets better. And then you have like Kaori as White Swan. She's like the rich girl who becomes like the main focal point of like the quote-unquote love triangle between Ryu and Guy, which is like a lot of the core focus of the drama in the show. You have Raita, who's Yellow Owl. He's the big guy. He does farming. He's chill. He throws rocks. Fortunately, is the source of fat jokes eating sometimes. Not great. It was the 90s.
Well.
And then you have like my favorite. Well, Guy's also my favorite, but my favorite besides Guy, Akko, who is a blue swallow. She's like a high school girl. She's like... She's kind of above all the romantic bullshit, probably because, she's 15 and morally should not be involved with this. But also just like her attitude to getting superpowers is like, I have these powers. People should pay me to join the track team and defend Earth. So she's fun. You also have the Byram. They're like the 4 generals, and they're all kind of like basically competing with each other for who's like the actual leader. You have Radaget, who is basically sort of like the front runner, big bad. He's like the guy who's just complete unrepentant asshole, shows potential signs of humanity but rejects them anytime he gets. You have Marie, who is the asterisk coming back. It's actually Ryu's fiance, evil and brainwashed now. Don't really know why she's this way.
She's alive? Oh my god.
Yeah, whoa. Who could have foreseen this in this setup? So, obviously that's a source of conflict for you. You have Gray, who's this really sick robot guy who, just like Guy, does drinking wine, listens to classical music, does gambling. They end up as good rivals. Yeah, there's this episode where they have a fight by doing a roulette gambling battle at a casino, and then Guy cheats by having their mecha tilt the casino. It's very good. And the final general guy is this kid named Tran, who is just like an obnoxious evil brat, you know, the archetype. But like 2/3 of the way through the show gets really pissed off at everyone demeaning him for being a kid, that he forcibly grows himself up into an adult named Emperor Tranza and becomes the strongest guy in the show. And it's goofy and good.
Love to evolve myself into Emperor Trans.
Me too. And yeah, there's like, truthfully, I think if there's a criticism of the show is that some of the focus on the romantic part does mean that like many of the Jetman don't have as much to work with. Like Ako and Raita have fun episodes, but they aren't like, they don't get as much as like Ryu and Guy, who have like the real core development. Especially Guy, it feels like he really grows the most throughout the show, from like, you know, being in some ways really actually like a piece of shit to like, you know, the rogue, but who's like a, you know, a good guy. And even Kaori, I think, like even though she's like the nexus point of like the romantic love triangle between the two, it almost feels like she doesn't get as much beyond being like the love interest, like, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the classic thing where like in the triangle, the two guys vying for the woman's attention don't actually have a relationship with the woman; they have a relationship with each other.
yeah, pretty much. And like, you know, like it starts out with like, you know, Guy gets affectionate, gets a crush on Kaori, but Kaori gets a crush on Ryu, and Ryu is still
wife guy.
Yeah, he's wife guy, especially when he finds out his wife is just, you know, the villain who's brainwashed, and that affects his growth. And, you know, there's a weird, like, maybe love triangle thing going on where, like, Radiguet wants to make Mary his own, but, like, in a really possessive, awful way, like, not as a person, but, like, as a, you know, as an object. And meanwhile, Gray, the robot, is, like, has a more, like, meaningful emotional relationship with Marie that's, like, you know, good, but, like, oh no, I'm a robot, I can't, you know, give you warmth even though I have the actual emotion connection with you. I think the villains are like more interesting and compelling when I think about it.
Yeah,
Tran kind of sucks until he becomes Emperor Trans, to be honest. And then at that point it's just like an interesting nexus point where like everyone on the villains all hate Tranza, but they all kind of like are forced to like go along with him for a while just because he's like stronger and can beat all their asses. And then at some point, you know, Guy and Kaori do enter a relationship. You know, you could probably criticize the fact that, you know, there is a point where Guy does kind of force himself on Kaori, and it's pretty gross. You know, for all the times the guy is like a fun asshole, there's still like this really gross moment that just feels like, why? You didn't have to do this. And, you know, he does it like he grows as a person, but still like, you know, it's like it's kind of crossing a line there. And then, you know, it does feel like in the early part of the show, like, you know, Raita has like his old fiance, who's like a one-off character. It does feel like, oh yeah, I also like Kaori, as like they needed a reason to give him something, and it's just like, you know, could have given more outside of the love triangle. And, you know, Ako has mostly just like, she's there, a bit above it all, but also, you know, I like her personality a lot, so I just wish she had a bit more outside of that. But, you know, all in all, you know, I do the love triangle J drama stuff was still like entertaining and good in my opinion. Like, it wasn't like, it didn't drag the show down. If anything, is like, you know, is the core of the show, emotional core of the show, and is like, it's definitely a part of what made it a show people liked.
Yeah,
because, you know,
the other big thing about this show is something you told me about.
Yes.
We can't get the reaction 2 times in a row. It's just, I'm not gonna fake it.
I mean, the thing is, you do have the audio for it. So
I have the audio of me finding out what happens at the end of the show. And I you know, I was it's like such a bizarre spoiler. We're not gonna spoil it, but it's just a very weird way to end a show.
Yeah, it's like it's the kind of like your reaction, and it's just like, why would they do that? And that was my reaction, because it's probably the most famous thing about Jetman. So in some ways, a lot of people are going to go into the show knowing it. So definitely, as I was watching the entire show, and especially as like starting the final episode, because it happens right at the end of the show, I was like, wow, what are they going to think about this? How do I feel about this? And I did surprisingly find that it did affect me, and I was affected by it. I felt like, hit me emotionally. It worked for me based on like the show's own internal soap opera logic. Like it's not like it's goofy. It's like you can cinema sense it, and it's like, this is not a rational thing, and it's such a weird, why would you do this ass pull kind of thing at the end. But I do think it did end up working as like a good capstone for like a character arc. And also, as I did mention, them parodying it in Zenkaiger as a finishing move is the funniest thing the Sentai's franchise has done.
Yes, the idea of doing that is so big brain, fantastic,
In
perfect.
fact,
I get a clip this time. Fantastic.
because I'm like, hey,
I did side by side.
we didn't do it last time, so I'm like, hey, you know what? And we're gonna add some. If we're repeating stuff, I may as well add some more juicy content so you can react to something.
It's like shot for shot.
Well, yeah, they're like, it's one of the most famous scenes from one of the most famous Sentais. They have to get it exactly right.
Oh my god.
It's so funny. It's even funnier is that
This is amazing.
There are people who are like Sentai fans who are like actually mad. They're like, "Oh, how dare you like cheapen this scene like this?"
People were mad about this. This is the funniest shit anyone has ever done.
So good. This is like amazing. This is why Zenkaiger is my favorite.
Yeah. Imagine. It's this. It's ridiculous. It's perfect.
I won't put the link to this in the show notes. You can just find it on Google, on YouTube.
If you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, because it is spoilers for the show. If you know, you know. But it's just so funny that like in Zenkaiger, they're like, because it's an anniversary season, they do the thing where like they use the powers of past Sentai, not in like the transform into them way, but like they use them for like to do a cool move kind of thing. And for Jetman, they decide to do this. Just to recreate an entire scene. It's just so big brain.
It's perfect.
Really, but yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with Jetman. I think I'm not sure where it ranks in like my pantheon of Sentai shows, but it's I don't do strict. I do like tier lists basically, and I think this rates pretty highly for me.
Cool,
solid show. It's like messy. It's not perfect. As we talked about, it's got some stuff that's like, no. But overall, I really liked it. Definitely see why this saved Sentai, why it's so beloved. How it kind of like put in a way on the map, because this was his first like show as the head writer of something. So, and like he wouldn't do Sentai again until Dawn Brothers. So it's a big deal bringing him back for Dawn Brothers, even though Dawn Brothers is definitely more on like the sitcom sphere than the J drama sphere of things. But it's also funny, just like you can see some of like the tropes he likes to use showing up again here. I guess you can see this is the origin point for them. And yeah, it's just cool. It's definitely. I haven't seen enough like 90s, and I've seen a bit of 80s, but I'll have more of a holistic image as time goes on and I see more seasons. But this is definitely like a show that's like 1 foot in the 80s, 1 foot in like the 90s. It's like there's definitely a clear break, and like obviously when I say 80s and 90s, it's not like clear cut, because like there's like a degree to which it bleeds through, because that's how culture works and how time works. dates are arbitrary. There's definitely like there's a style of Sentai that was like what the franchise was in the 80s. That's, you can see like this is still carry on that type, but it's also like doing something different, which is like paving the way for like the more experimental different styles that the 90s Sentai ended up being. And you know, looking forward to seeing that when I get to more 90s shows.
So now I have a question that I didn't have last time.
Okay.
Is it a which one's the one that's Power Rangers? Is that a 90s one?
Yes.
I assume it is. Yes. I assume they didn't just like pick an 80s one
yeah,
when they were doing
I'll probably have an 80s season soon, so I can talk about it more then. But the idea of Power Rangers was inspired by watching an 80s season. It's just they end up picking a 90s one.
Well, okay. That's the okay. I have questions, but obviously better answer at a later date.
Yeah, I'll talk about it sooner than I might think. We'll see. All
right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, first I have to since we are definitely this is something we are definitely doing for the first time, but because this is the Sentai Segue, I have to do my sync. Yeah. Whoa. It's almost like it's your psychic. I didn't even give you the numbers, but that's fine.
It's the second one.
Yeah.
It's the second one you read out.
Yeah. Let me just get my numbers so the audience can have them. The numbers that Red psychically knew, I did not tell them about before. D3, Z2, V9, H2, B6, G2. Because for context, I did mix up the system a bit.
Mel?
Yeah.
V9.
Anyway, I'm going to open Razen's envelope that he definitely sent me because I need both your opinions for this game to work. He says B6. Anyway, I will take whatever these numbers are based on this information that happened just now. I definitely haven't already started the season already.
Oh man. Yep.
Next time we do this, we will not lose the audio. Well, not knocking on wood, not jinxing it, and then we'll actually be able to do this.
Yeah, jinxing's not real. I said that last time, and we lost an hour of audio. Jinxing's not real.
I did feel like I jinxed it last time because we did mention, oh no, we don't have Razen doing the OBS recording. It's probably fine.
It was it was a thing where like we had not prepared it. It had not occurred to us, and then it occurred to us just before we started recording, and we've only ever needed it once, and it was because of something that happened on my end, and I was like, that's not gonna happen again, so we'll be fine. And then we extremely weren't. We were punished for our hubris. Swiftly.
I even was like, I'm not superstitious, but I will knock on wood anyway, and I did it, and then I'm like, actually, I am superstitious. It turns out I am when it comes down to it.
I did say out loud that jinxing isn't real, and then we were cursed. So maybe it's my fault. Maybe that's what's happened. This happened one time at work when I was running an event, and I said that something along the lines of. It's really lucky. I've never had like a disaster or anything at one of these events. And then someone said, now there's going to be a disaster. And I said, no, it's not. Jinxing's not real. And then there was like a fire alarm, and the whole thing had to be like postponed a bunch. And everyone was like standing outside in the rain. I was like, I really shouldn't have said that jinxing wasn't real. But here we are. That's not real.
As Marxists, we should be like materialists and don't believe in these things. However, sometimes
it's not real. It's fake. I'm fine. I'm gonna continue to flaunt to tempt God. All right. shall we talk about Ultra 7?
Yes, let's get to it before something else happens. Good jinx it again.
Yeah, so I'm going to speed through the Ultra 7 episode 4 summary that I've got here, which is called Max Respond.
Yeah, because this is one we did before, and also it's also the least interesting episode.
Yeah, this is the one that we talked about, and we honestly didn't have much to say, because it's not that good. I
mean,
so,
Jun's in it, but that's what it is.
Yes, there is a Jun jump scare. Soga and Amagi are dispatched to the NS Max, the TDF's nuclear vessel.
Oh yeah, the other good thing about this episode is the insert song.
Yes.
Right at the start.
Yes. The song is fantastic. The episode opens on the fucking 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 song that you hear at the end of Ultra 7 episodes, Ultra Q episodes now, because I heard that and was like, I have to put this.
Yeah, I got your song and you're like, oh, thank you, and then you heard this and I was like, oh, actually, I need this one.
Yes. I needed it. Soga and Amagi are dispatched to the NS Max, the TDF's nuclear vessel, where they are joining up with Jun. Codename, I still have the original thing that I typed in here that you said was wrong. What's his name?
Ultra 7?
No, I called him Tanika.
Oh, Takanaka.
Oh, Takanaka. Okay. June episode. They are going to investigate a site where ships are vanishing. Unfortunately, when they arrive at the site in a ship, they vanish. They get yoinked into space, and the whole crew, except for Amagi, Soga, and New Jun, get thrown into the void. Meanwhile, Dan loses his glasses again, Velma coded.
Yeah, this is some girl just beats him over the head with a wrench.
Furuhashi is sent in Thunderbird 3 to check if the boat got yoinked into space, and damn, yeah, it got yoinked into space. He enters the ship equipped with the most useless space helmet anyone has ever had, which it's just got a hole.
It's got a hole. As useless as Hayata just going out into space with the window open to his spaceship.
Yes, stupid, ridiculous. He's just got a little pipe to his mouth like it's scuba gear.
Yeah, it's like those people who like wear masks to like, you know, for COVID, but like they don't cover their nose.
Yes, ridiculous. Anyway, he enters the ship. And instead of rescuing everyone, he gets held captive too. An alien disguised as Furuhashi then takes Thunderbird 3 back to base and says, yeah, they weren't in space. We should gather all the military might of the TDF at that one spot on the ocean where all the ships disappear to look for the NS Max. And Dan's like, oh, okay, he's an alien. Imposter Furuhashi plants a bomb on the atomic generator at the heart of the base and traps Dan in a tube next to it, just like sprays
a tube
on him, and it turns into a glass tube. Then he disguises himself as Dan and immediately gets clocked by Anne, who's like, oh hey, your wound healed so quick. Also, where's the necklace I gave you this morning? Then the original disguised alien, the one that stole the Ultra Eyes, for some reason comes back, enters the base, taunts Dan, and then gets fucking owned. Dan transforms into Ultraman, and we get an extended scene of him. Oh my god.
It was preserved in some form in the end.
Ultra 7, because I edited the bit that happens in the next episode and not the bit where it happens in this episode.
It's okay. You only have one season to worry about this.
I have done it again. Ultra 7. Dan transforms into Ultra 7, and we get an extended scene of him just being normal size, which is cool, while the captain disarms the bomb. Ultra 7, in sequence, 1, rescues Anne, 2, kills the fake Dan with the head beam, 3, defeats the aliens on the NS Max, and 4, pulls the hostages back down to Earth just with, like, a rope. The end.
Yeah.
This episode's kind of a mess.
Yeah. The alien, by the way, is Godala. We should just document that for people.
The alien is Godala.
It looks alright, but also episode 6 has a near identical alien that's just cooler. So, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't the coolest alien.
We did have. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say also when both the Godula and Seven grow, they do the thing that like looks like the Super Sentai thing when the monsters grow, where they like do the camera underneath and they just wave their arms around. And it's like, oh, it's like Super Sentai.
Razan made a note of it because he said it was yet another blowjob angle.
Yeah. So let's we should get Razan's.
So Razan's notes for episode 4. Jun's back. I feel like I've seen this alien on an episode of Space Ghost Coast to Coast. I did not know that's what that show was called last episode, last time we recorded. The small-scale human versus alien combat adds a lot to this episode, and I hope we see more of it in addition to the kaiju fights.
Yeah.
The show is doing a lot better than Ultraman in terms of having better variety in its action.
Yeah. my point that I mentioned last time as well is just that, like, for me, it's like, obviously, you don't want all the time small-scale fights, but I think adding it in adds some spice and variety, and so it's always cool to see when the Ultra Series does do it, even though, like, the big fights are the bread and butter and what should be the focus of the show, just, like, so it's not just Kamen Rider. Even though it's obviously before Kamen Rider, so,
At 22 minutes, 16 seconds, Razan made seconds note, made a note of it to the second. We get an alien Godula blowjob angle, complete with pelvic thrusts. I did check the tapes. He does thrust. He does do the pelvic thrusts.
Razan typecasting himself.
Yep. Never try to fly away from Ultra 7. He will blow you up. This is true. And this episode was a ton of fun. Razan liked this episode more than we did.
Yes.
Sorry, dude.
I can do the production history.
It's a shame we can't defend it. Directed by Kazuho Misuta, who's Boss Dang and Peter from Ultra Q. He's Loch Ness Monster Dinosaur Base, Rascal, Don't Shoot Arashi, and Pigmon Part 2 in Ultraman. And written by Tetsuo Kinjo, who is SOS Mount Fuji, Goro and Goro, Challenge from the year 2020, both the Garamons, Baron Spider, Racist Octopus, Walrus in the Sky, etc. And the
he did
the three main shit. He did all three of.
So he did Zarab,
Mephiles,
and Zeton.
Yeah.
Also Wu and Pigmon.
Yeah.
And then it also says that this episode's second writer, Masahiro Yamada, who did Turtle, Dragon Palace, I Saw Bird, Canagon,
all
the Pegula episodes, and the Rainbow Egg.
Fantastic.
Well, not with the Rainbow Egg's fine.
Rainbow's egg is fine, but the rest of these.
Then he did the Power Plant Monster, the Chocolate, Fake Peter, the Alpinist episode, Red vs. Blue, Data, and Don't Shoot Arashi and Ultraman. So you know what? His Ultraman episodes are
missing.
Extreme. Yeah.
He never misses, except when it's Ultraman.
Sorry, I think he. We'll see. Hopefully, he'll have better stuff in Ultra 7.
Yeah. This episode, it's got fun fights. It's got what you need to have a good time. It's got the song. The song's good. The song is also in one of the good episodes this week.
Yeah.
We talked about this last time. So we didn't have much to say last time.
Yeah, we just
so we have even less to say.
Yeah, we basically repeated ourselves in a more compressed form this time. Like, I think I said everything I said last time. I just did it faster. We can just move on.
Okay, we are officially in new territory.
Let's go.
Audacity, don't fail me now. Ultra 7 episode 5 is called The Erased Time.
I got Vanished Time.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Vanished Time. Furuhashi.
Yeah, you gotta update your Blu-rays.
Yep. Furuhashi has a mission. He is to be the bodyguard for a genius called Dr. Yushima, who is on his way to the Ultra Guard base to improve their radar. But there's a problem. While in transit, Dr. Yushima's plane was zapped by some kind of time-stopping ray, and now Yushima is the unwilling servant of the alien Vera. Once at the base, Vera visits him by night through a TV during stop time, and Yushima is commanded to sabotage the radar and told to be wary of Muraboshi Dan, who is an alien, determined to protect humanity. Yushima has Dan install the sabotage diodes on the radar control console, which sparks and explodes Star Trek Bridge style. Yushima sows suspicion in the ranks
Among
by
Us.
implying Dan. By implying Dan could be a saboteur without making a proper accusation. Later, Yushima locks himself away in a room on his own, and the guard on the door has orders not to let anyone in. But Dan can see through walls, which also means he can hear him. And he sees Yushima talking to Vera about sabotaging the base. Dan barges in, attacks Yushima, but is interrupted by the Ultra Guard, who can't believe him when he says Yushima is working with aliens. Dan is taken to the brig, and he despairs. Vera's invasion fleet arrives, and the Ultra Guard launches. Yushima attempts one more act of sabotage, but no one took away Dan's glasses when he was locked up, so he transforms into Ultraseven, breaks out of the cell, and stops Yushima.
If I was Amuro, I would simply just turn into Ultraseven and break out.
Yeah, I would simply break out of the brig. I would have no problem. He stops Yushima, non-lethal takedown. Then there is a really cool fight outside where it cuts between Ultraseven facing off against Vera and the Ultra Guard shooting down Vera's spaceships.
Should be noted that like the setting where Vera fights like this Japanese castle, and it's cool.
Yes,
cool architecture.
It is.
It's a cool setting.
It is. They defeat Vera, and Yushima wakes up in the base, surrounded by the Ultra Guard, who explain he's been under the control of an alien, and Yushima's like, that's all well and good, but please start from the beginning. Where the fuck am I? And everyone has a good laugh. The end.
The funniest thing is that the episode ends when, like, Dan explains, and then, like, the brass is like... Basically what the brass says is, like, it was a pretty good plan. They got us pretty good.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. Everyone's like, oh, those rascals. They got us. They almost had us. I mean, what I should do before we speak and is just check in with Razan.
Yeah.
Razan's notes.
Yeah.
I love how we keep getting funny little puppet guys showing up on monitors and TVs declaring they're taking over the Earth. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is Vera showing up, appearing on that little TV. And then talking about taking over the Earth.
Somehow shooting beams from the TV into the diodes in the Professor Yushima's hand.
It's a brilliant energy from Ultraseven so far with the aliens, who are all just like obviously ridiculous cartoons.
I feel like this was a fight scene that used Vera has to be a puppet, and it's interesting they use a fight scene with a puppet just because.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Razan also notes Among Us. Love the design of this alien and its ships. So I did want to mention the ships in this episode, where it's like a bunch of, and they kind of repeat this again next episode, but way more atmospheric. Is the alien fleet is like all these shapes that like kind of like pyramid-y, that are all connected to each other.
Yeah, I think I forgot about it, but I definitely remember in the last episode they were covering a lot the shapes. Yes,
and yeah, I think it's a cool design. I think it's like I said in the summary, I think the big highlight of this episode for me is actually the fight, which is strange because like the fight is just standard stuff, but they managed to, I feel like this is the first time, maybe the first time they've done this, is establish where the Ultra Guard ships are in comparison to Ultraseven and his fight, and they keep like cutting between the two very effectively. I think it's good. It's like fundamental stuff, but it's good.
I can do the production history stuff too.
First off, I think I will say, I think it's weird to set this up as a Furuhashi episode, and then not have Furuhashi involved.
Yeah,
really.
that's true. I think Ultraman was definitely guilty of this too.
Mm-hmm. I think, on the other hand, Dan displaying human emotion is very different from Ultraman.
Yeah.
He's like
more of that in a minute.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah, just a note. Ryzen also said that, and I forget if he said this, but Ryzen said that this episode was fun, but he didn't like as much as episode 4.
This is allowed. He is allowed.
He has his personal freedom.
We have our personal freedom.
Dan momentarily does not have his personal freedom.
No.
He
does.
They don't
He
question.
just keeps it a secret.
They don't really question the fact that, like, oh, the brig door busted open.
Dan, how did you do this? Oh, well, in the heat of the moment, mothers can lift cars. All right, production history.
Yeah, so directed by Hajime Sobraya, who did Gomez, Goro, The Space Slug Saltwater, Garadama,
Hell yeah.
1/8 Project, and Open Up. I think he also did Barret Spider, but I could be wrong. That's what I saw on the wiki. In Ultraman, he did Bemilar, the first episode, Monster Anarchy Zone, The Mummy and the Dragon, the Oil SOS, Gomura's episode, the Alien Planet Vibes one, the one where it's the Thunderbirds, and Zedon.
I feel like his Ultraman episodes are all like a step, like just like not quite there. Like he's like I don't want to say that they're bad.
He's
but
the
it's, like,
set
not
piece guy.
Quite, yeah. It's
Like
not quite fantastic.
Like the Akio Jisoji episodes are like the big ideas guy, and like Hajime Sobraya is like, look at the big thing, it's cool.
Look at the big thing. We're gonna shoot so many fireworks at this fucking person in a suit.
Worth also mentioning, he did the first episode of Ultraseven too.
Cool.
Also, the writer is a new guy, Akihoki Sugano. Razin says could not find anything on this guy, even on the Japanese Wikipedia page. He apparently appears to have written for a TV drama called Can You Cry, which was previously discussed because of Harunosuke Nakagawa, who did the Dragon Palace, So I Saw a Bird, Kanagon episodes, lumps together, and is best remembered for directing the first episode of that show alongside his Ultra episodes. So
cool.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I quite like this episode. I think my favorite bit of it is when Dr. Yushima is on the plane and the flight attendant or like the pilot or something is telling him, if I feel like I'm transporting a weapon of mass destruction when I'm transporting you to the Ultra Guard, and he's like, he says, "Am I a hydrogen bomb?" And I'm like, bro, you're up against Ultraseven. You're the coughing baby.
It is funny that as soon as they land, he's like, they joke about whether an alien would come after the professor.
It's great.
Also, apparently he's 29 and has 5 doctorates.
Some people have too much time on their hands, clearly.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about episode 6.
All right, let's talk about the real shit.
Let's talk about the fucking real shit. Let's go. Ultraseven episode 6, The Dark Zone. Anne has a problem. There's a weird shadow in her room on the base. She asks Dan to take a look, and the two of them confront the shadow, which turns out to be an alien in need of aid. Anne and Dan help the shadow recover and ask where he came from, only for the shadow's answers to be a little vague and evasive, telling them only that he's from a spacefaring city that is very scientifically advanced. Meanwhile, the Ultra Guard receives a mysterious signal from a spacefaring city that is very scientifically advanced called Pegasa, asking them to adjust Earth's orbit to avoid a collision that will destroy both Pegasa and the planet. Dan hears about this and confronts the shadow, saying that the Earth does not have the ability to change its orbit. The shadow is outraged, saying that this makes Earth nothing but a backwater inhabited by barbarians.
There's after you finish the summary, you can talk about it.
I'm deliberately. This is all very deliberate.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the summary will just be beat for beat through the episode. So he says Earth is nothing but a backwater inhabited by barbarians, and then he turns awfully quiet. With the shadow silent and Pegasa not responding to the Ultra Guard's messages, a TDF commander reaches a conclusion that horrifies Dan. We gotta bolt hand them. The commander also points out that if this idea has occurred to him, then surely it has occurred to the Pegasans. The Ultra Guard are sent to space in Thunderbird 3 and receive their orders. Try to convince Pegasa to evacuate before they get hit by our missiles. They fly to Pegasa City, and it's really cool. Just take a minute here just to say the Pegasa is cool. It's all these interconnected
orbs and triangles.
Orbs and triangles. And it's shot in just like the silence of space and just like no windows or anything. And like I realize this is part of like they've used their limitations here to create something very, very mysterious, and it's just this like just this silent city drifting through space is very, very good. Dan is tearfully begging them to evacuate, and getting no response because there is a lack of trust between the two sides of this incident.
Yeah, he's like at first very ecstatic, like, oh, we have a chance to save them, we have a chance to like reach out and do the moral thing, and then increasingly emotionally fraught as just does not get a response.
Mm-hmm. It's some like we're doing Ideon shit. We're doing so obviously pre-Ideon, obviously, but Ideon is my go-to comparison for this kind of thing, where it's like the lack of trust on each side of this incident is what leads to catastrophe, because it's like, maybe the Earth can move its orbit, and these humans are demanding that we evacuate Pegasa, and because they have ill intentions. And if they can't alter their orbit, then can they really destroy our city? And like that's it's like possibilities like this that are presumably why Pegasa is just like completely not responding to any of these messages, and why the shadow in Anne's room had gone completely quiet. Dan's attempts aren't enough, and the silent Pegasa gets fucking nuked to shit. It's gone. Dead. Boltan 2. But this time it's deliberately sad. On Earth, the Shadow speaks once more, and he tells Anne, escape Earth, take Dan with you, and reveals his true form and his true mission. If the Earth doesn't make way for Pegasa, destroy it. He escapes the base and gets to work, not knowing that Pegasa is already destroyed, and not believing it at first when Ultraseven shows up to tell him. After a brief clash, Ultraseven safely disposes of the bomb that's burrowing to Earth's core, and the Shadow escapes into the night. In a weirdly upbeat scene, Anne and Dan talk about how the Shadow has nowhere to go and must now be living among us on Earth, and they hope he's okay. The end. Weird choice of tone at the end there.
Yeah,
otherwise,
the ending is the weirdest thing to me. Just because, like, I missed that guy. We
destroyed his people.
we destroyed. I'm sure we'll find him again because we destroyed his homeland and all his people, and so he has nowhere left to go.
He has nowhere to go. I think that everything. So, what that summary does not capture is that a lot of this episode is just Dan and Anne talking to the shadow in Anne's room and kind of talking around the fact that, you know, he's like he's there with a mission to destroy everyone. He's like clearly feels bad. He's like, these are nice people.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to fucking blow up the Earth. These are just normal people.
Yeah, they'll
just adjust their orbit. It'll be fine.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, just don't worry about it. Just do it. And then it's like, we literally can't. What are you talking about?
Yeah, the anger at him just like when he learns this, and he's just like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean you can't adjust your orbit?"
Yeah, and it's worth.
Well, you're apes then.
Yeah, it's worth putting this in the context of like, this is after a long like discussion of like the Pegasus tells them about like Pegasus City and like how like technologically advanced, how everything runs on factories.
Yeah, so the Shadow just giving us like little bits of like Dark Souls lore for Pegasa is so good.
Yeah.
Like just like little tidbits and hints at what this paradise / dystopia is like.
It's like he points out that like originally they had a home planet and now the city's like all they have left because their own technology destroyed their planet after like they built their own technology built this crazy mega city in space that and that same technology curve like was responsible for destroying their planet.
Yeah.
And then we also get like him directly comparing like Pegasus technology to Earth's, and it's just like, oh, you guys have like artificial flowers. You're also similar to us in our like all this level of technology, and like the reveal of like, oh, Earth can't change its orbit is sort of like in contrast to the idea he was building in his head, like in disgusting Earth's technology kind of thing.
Yeah, and his outburst is like very like haughty, arrogant shit. Like you know, you're nothing. You're nobody. You're like barely civilized. Is basically the vibe of what he's saying. Like gross shit. And like the characterization of this is like he's angry that he's angry that they can't save themselves, and he's like immediately going like completely silent after that of just like, I have to kill all these people.
Yeah,
is wild.
And I guess it's like also in the context like he's formed a genuine bond with Anne and Dan at this point, and he's just like, I don't want to kill him, and so he's just like, oh, I have to do it.
And like the beginning of their conversation is him just saying like, I need help, as like Dan's like reaching for his gun basically, and they basically like talks him down from reaching for his gun, and like there's like hope here, there's a connection here that can be made.
Yeah, and they even like eventually call in the Ultra Guard and eventually like convince him like, yeah, this guy's fine, don't hurt him, and like the Ultra Guard's like, yeah, okay, we'll trust you guys.
But it's not enough. It's because, you know, it's like these like two civilizations, both with trying to it's on some like extremely grim, like I want to say space battleship Yamato stuff, but without. I mean, I guess it does kind of have like a weirdly upbeat ending.
Yeah.
But it's different. It's a little different from Yamato. I think this episode's pretty good.
It's my favorite of Ultraseven so far, for sure.
Yes, I think if you had to do, I think if you had to do Boltan, but like without making Ultraseven genuinely evil.
Yeah.
Without making Dan like eager to commit genocide.
Yeah.
I think this is how you do it.
Yeah, definitely felt like, I don't know how intentional it was, but definitely felt in conversation with the Bolton episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's impossible to watch this episode and not think about the Bolton episode, where like Ultraman committing genocide as a footnote, and just like, oh, this is the heroic thing to do, compared to like this, where it's like
it's a failure. It's a failure
it's like
of everyone involved.
Like, yeah, and it's like Ultraman just does it as like a footnote in the last minute, as opposed to like this being like the entire moral crux of the episode is like genocide trolley problem.
Mm-hmm. And like Ultra 7 kind of being powerless to actually stop this, like he does not. I mean, I guess he could push it out of the way. I don't know, but
push the city out of the way.
Just fucking, you know, just counterattack.
Yeah.
It's coming up again. But I just think it's you know, obviously dealing with like just like very quick to jump to genocide, clearly.
Yeah.
This team, but I do think it's
I mean, it's definitely like the time frame is like too short for them to think of like a more measured response.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also funny that like originally Dan and the Ultra Guard were sent up to do the genocide, and they told him, "No, stop. Your guns
don't have bombs big enough.
You don't have bombs big enough. Do the evacuation instead."
Yeah, I think the fact that it is not portrayed as like, it feels less like, because there's two narratives here that you could take. One is humanity had to do this to survive, and the episode is kind of doing that. But there's the other narrative, which is, what the fuck, bro? That was a colossal failure.
Yeah.
And I feel like the episode is doing that.
I think it's doing both. Yeah.
I don't like the first thing. I think the first thing fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Because it's all artificial. But I think as you know, Dan's like weeping over the fact that humanity are about to obliterate another species to save themselves, is like, I think that's good.
Yeah, I think it's effective.
And
yeah, like you said, it's also just effective. Like, you know, the Ultra being is not just a win button. Like, this is just too much of a situation where, like, for even one giant Silverman to take care of, just just like the scale is too big. He's
I think oh, go ahead.
He's just still like a guy. He caught up in like on what like the Earth believes versus what the Pegasus believes, like their own beliefs and institutions and stuff, etc.
Mm-hmm. The moment the TDF guy was like had like this grim look in his face, is like, well, you know what we got to do, right? And I was like, oh shit, I know what you're about to suggest. That's what this kind of guy is, and there is an extent to which this show doesn't think that this kind of guy is evil, which is, you know, I think they're evil, but that's fine. I watched Ultraman. I'm happy to watch evil television.
Yeah, I think the show definitely doesn't think he's evil, but does think he's like, it's still bad, and it's a failure. I do think like there's a degree to which, you know, in a broad sense, I feel like we're just gonna keep feeling, even if we enjoy these shows, that like the subtext is like, oh, this is a cop show kind of.
I have Razan's notes here.
Yeah, we should get to Razan.
This setup feels very Ultra Q. It does, to be honest. The shadow thing, very Q.
I do feel like maybe 7 brings in more of the Q elements that was missing in Man.
It does.
Which is, you know,
Seven's
for the show's
Seven's happy to, Seven's happy to get weird with it. Ultraman would not have felt bad about this at all. Ultraman would have gone up there and destroyed it himself.
Yeah.
The moment he heard that this was happening. Hayata would have been like, first of all, Hayata would have gunned down that shadow. And then he would have ran out of the building, turned into Ultraman, and, well, no, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't have done that immediately. What he would have done is he would have let everyone struggle with it first, and then go out and do it himself
Uh,
because the struggle is good
yeah,
for humanity.
Ide would have the moral quandary.
Yes, Ide would have the moral quandary.
And Arashi would say, no, we should just shoot it.
Arashi's just they give Arashi the nuclear codes.
Fuji is not in the episode.
Fuji's not.
Rasen also mentions
we get a look at Anne's room. Speaking of misogyny, we get a look at Anne's room, and it's like I'm not saying that this is just automatically misogyny. Don't worry, but we get a look at Anne's room. It's a nice room. It's she's clearly got a life on the base.
Yeah.
Outside of just having a mission. I thought there was a lot of care went into this set.
It's a really nice looking set.
I have to assume it will make a return.
I hope so.
Otherwise, they spent a lot of money on this.
TBS looking like, oh man, you built an entire room and only used it once.
Yeah.
Rasen also notes the shots of the Pegasus running at night are really good, and it is cool. Just the confrontation in the park.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that much.
Yeah. Just worth noting, Pegasus is just a cooler looking Godula. Godula get fucked.
I'm pulling up an image of Pegasus right now. Yeah, this is just a good alien.
Yeah, it's just really cool.
I like this alien. I've just seen the anime girl version of Pegasus.
It'll be funny when we get to Haiji Girls in like 6 years or something. I don't know.
I like that Pegasus got like a big heart on his chest. I think this is a good suit.
Yeah. I'll also note. Actually, we'll do the production history stuff first, and then I'll do my last footnote.
Okay. Directed once again by Kazuho Mitsuta.
Forgot what he did.
Excuse me.
He just was above.
He was above. He was.
Yeah, he was boss staying Loch Ness Monster. Same as episode 6. Episode 4, I mean. Written by
Bunzo Wakatsuki. Strange Comet episode and Strange Comet. Oh, Tsuifon.
Yeah.
Gomora 2-parter in Ultraman. Okay.
Fine.
Damn. I think this is his best
This
one.
is clearly his best work.
Yeah. It's good. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. So as part of I mentioned this on our first episode last week, but as part of Ultraseven's 55th anniversary, they're doing like a 7-minute concept movie. That's
I think I've seen commercials for this.
They have been doing ads for it.
Covered my eyes.
Yeah, they've been
covered my eyes through commercials for this on Blazar.
Yeah, they've been doing advertisements. I think they're like digitally reconstructing Dan and Anne to like look at their age or something.
Okay.
Yeah, but the important thing is like, from what I understand, that concept movie is going to be based on this episode, which is interesting to me.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know when the best time to watch that will be. I don't know when we'll fit in, but we'll talk about it later. But it's coming out this fall, and so it's interesting.
Okay.
It's interesting. I just thought it worth noting, just because
it is worth noting. Yeah,
it's something we'll cover at some point, and it's like related to this episode. Yeah.
The other stuff in this episode is like in the confrontation between like this is like the confrontation between Ultraseven and the Shadow Pegasus at the end is like, I think, like the most that we've had from like emotionally from a fight.
Yeah.
Like there's Jamila, but Ultraman doesn't care about that.
Yeah, Ide cares about
Ultraman. Yeah, Ide cares about Jamila.
Ultraman cares about the kid who's too interested in his pigeon.
Yep. But yeah, the whole thing where it's like Pegasus is like, I don't. First of all, I don't believe that you have destroyed my city. I don't believe that's possible. You can't even change your orbit.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you've destroyed my city, I'm going to blow up your planet. I think it's just good.
I think
it's the most we've had.
Even though the tonally weird shouldn't be happy, but it is ending. It's off. It's a weird choice. I do think the episode is stronger because Pegasus runs off to the night and isn't killed.
Yes, like him. He's just out there, and like he's just living on Earth. It's like Anne's line is something like, "I'm always peering into shadows these days."
Yeah.
And it's like that's good.
That's got like a
good.
Twilight Zone like urban legend kind of vibe to it, which I think is cool. It helps like bring back the Ultra Q vibes a bit.
It does.
Like the narrator being like,
good.
Watch out for shadows.
Absolutely.
They might be weak to salt water.
Yeah, they could they absolutely end this episode on a narrator going, maybe that shadow's a guy. You ever think about that? Good episode.
This is definitely my favorite episode of Ultraseven so far. We're still early on the show. I don't know.
There are just Soji episodes.
I don't know where this ranks in like my Ultra Q, the podcast episode ranking so far, but I do think it'd be like in my higher tier. And like we've seen a lot of episodes so far, so it's like maybe that's not saying much, but like
yeah,
it's good. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that does it for Ultraseven talk this week. Having a good time with Ultraseven. Even when it's like kind of just like doing it by numbers, it's just so much more competently put together than Ultraman.
I think it helps that like more of the recurring characters are characters.
Yes,
I don't.
It helps that Dan is a character.
Yeah, Dan being a character is the most important thing, and Anne being a girl who gets things is also good. Yes. I don't know if Soga and Armagi are guys yet, but we'll see.
They should make Armagi a guy because that's Ultraman. He's the guy in the suit.
Yeah.
He should be a guy.
Soga should at least be as much of a guy as Arashi. Furuhashi should also.
Unfortunately, we have Furuhashi here. He gets to be Arashi.
I actually feel better about Furuhashi being a character.
It'll be good.
It is funny that Soga and Amagi do not have first names. It's just like, oh yeah.
Yes, there's just no one. They're no one. The captain this time around is so much more. I think there's something to be said for the fact that he seems less like sure of himself. Like there's something about the way there's something about his performance that is like much less here's what we're gonna do. It is much more okay. Let's get it done. It's good.
Yeah.
I hope we get more from him because I like him.
Yeah, we got like 43 more episodes.
We got lots of episodes.
Yeah, this is our first like 50 episode show. We'll have like a bunch.
God fucking damn.
That's
long.
We have like a block of like
five
50 episode shows, then like a movie, and then another 2 50 episode shows.
Yeah. Well, at least they can't make more Ultraman than we can watch now.
Yeah, because we're skipping the queue.
We're skipping the queue. Watching Blazer. It's a good show.
It'll be interesting to get further in Blazer and see how much of a cop show it is.
It's absolutely a cop show. That's fine. That's like there are degrees of cop. There is circling back to Precure. One of the reasons I dropped ES5 is because there is. So I understand that there is a degree to which all magical girl shows, that are riffing on like the Sailor Moon style, which is like all of them these days.
Yeah.
All of them after Sailor Moon are doing the Sentai thing, kind of. They're all to some degree cop shows. But the levels of cop vary.
Yeah.
And also are, sometimes like when it's Precure 5 doing like this bad guy is a fat lazy slob who can't stay awake when he's working like a register. I'm like, this is the worst.
Yeah. I feel like you got a similar character in Hirogaru that's just like treated better about it.
Yes. Oh yeah, he's like much better because like he's a fun guy.
Yeah.
He's fun, and he's like he's not unemployed and, you know, not like bad at his job and has like women asking to talk to his manager or whatever. Like that's not what's happening. It's not like he's, and him like having that ramen place where he goes to eat is good. It's not, him eating is not like villainous.
It's really funny that he's like the villain goes to an Odin place, and that's also just a thing in Dawn Brothers.
Odin, yes, not ramen.
Yeah,
thank you.
I had Odin a few weeks ago. That was good for the first time.
Nice, nice. But yeah, the degrees of cop are important.
Yeah,
because sometimes your TV show is a cop show because it's normal, because that's what is quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's unhinged and wild.
Yeah.
And what are you doing?
Like Pat Labor's cop show, Ghost in the Shell's cop show.
Yes.
I'm not going to mention Psychopaths because that's like different.
Psychopath? No. Psychopath is a cop show.
I mean, it is a cop
it's just
show.
That it's the one where the show is the least made by cops imaginable.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's like,
it's so funny that production IG were like, well, we want a cyberpunk thing that we can make because we're the Ghost in the Shell people. We make Ghost in the Shell. We want to be able to make cyberpunk stuff. We kind of want our own thing though. So like, let's hire some guys to make our own thing. Let's hire this Urobuchi guy. He's a big deal at the minute, and Urobuchi's like, okay, yeah, sure. I do hate cops. I do think they're the worst, and I will say that in my show.
yeah.
So that's, people should watch Psychopath.
Yeah, and then listen to Ghost Diver. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Spooky Boogie.
Spooky Boogie.
Yeah.
The Anarchist.
Supposedly. Allegedly.
The VTuber Anarchist who, the moment she's off camera, is like, well, I'm kind of an anarchist.
I'll work with the cops.
I'll work with the cops.
Gets killed for it.
It's so good.
This is a lot about anarchists. No, it doesn't.
Oh, we're swinging. We can't. Last episode ended on me making a land reform joke. We can't.
Can't lean into this too much.
No. All right.
Couple things.
Couple things. Color timers.
We got no capsule countdown.
Bear
luck
capsule
next time. Bear luck next time. Also, we do have an email.
No Pokemon this week. We have an email.
Yeah.
Shoot.
It was from last week. We just didn't get to it, but you don't.
Oh yeah.
It's from Sajaxer again. They say, "Hey, hope you guys don't tire of seeing their name." And I say, "No, of course not." Emails are good.
You're welcome.
Also, especially when you can give us good info, like this Ultraman 66 info dump.
Go ahead.
So, I haven't read this before, so I'm just gonna, we may have to edit down as I read through it and say things, because there's a lot.
That sounds like work.
Yeah. So apparently, first of all, Ichinotani founding the SSSP is from magazines in the 90s, so it's more of a retroactive thing.
Wait, what?
Apparently.
Oh my god, some magazines in the 90s had the same idea we did.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mentioned it because I thought I saw it somewhere, but couldn't get a source on it.
Ichinotani invented the SSSP. He just did.
Yeah. Apparently, as you noted, the show takes place in the distant future of 1993 at the time, but this is retconned because of Ichinotani.
No, he perfected. He's a vampire. He can. So long as he drinks blood, he can live forever.
There's also a 90s PC game called Ultra Strategy, which is also melds the canon of Q and Man.
Okay.
There's like a few missions of the newly formed SSSP, where they fight Red King, and actually fight Kemmers. So that's cool.
Oh, that is cool.
So, retconning it so Muramatsu isn't full of shit when he says, "Oh yeah, we defeated Kemmer." No, you didn't. Also mentions there's Ultraman Monster Movie Feature, which is a compilation movie consisting of 2 episodes pushed together and released in theaters. There's a bunch of Ultraman compilation movies, including, as I mentioned before, and as this email mentions, there's a 79 compilation movie that's all the Joji episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit of like new Bolton footage. He says the footage is on YouTube somewhere, and I'm like, well, I can't find it, which is why I did buy the DVD for it. Oops. Has a new opening theme by Isao Sasaki, who also did the Go Ranger, Battleship Yamato, and second Sentai season Jack themes.
Mm-hmm.
It's also disco remix of it for some reason. That's weird. So just look up Disco Ultraman.
Disco Ultraman.
There was also a script for a movie called Ultraman Operation Giant after the series concluded. The movies will also feature the Boltons coming again, and the Earth reviews a giant robot called Napoleon.
He's really bad at killing them all.
There's also supposed to be an underground monster. Then apparently the robot would have been called G, as in the letter.
Okay.
Then Ultraman, the SSP, and the robot would fight the Boltons and the underground guys. There would have been Ultraman getting armored and a sword, and they didn't do that. They made Ultraseven instead, but then they made a novel version. That's weird.
I have found footage of this video game.
Ultraseven probably the better choice. There's also a series we haven't talked about this where I did called Kaiju Buska. It was in like an older version of our spreadsheet, but I cut it out. It's basically a toku show for young kids. It's sort of like a predecessor of some like shows where there's like a friendly mascot guy who hangs out with the kids and does get adventures. Buska is a cute, cuddly kaiju, which you can look it up because I'm reading this email. Sorry.
Okay.
Looks like a little bear.
That is, I'm probably not gonna find everything, but yes.
Buska is like shows up enough in like future Ultraman stuff that like you'll see it.
Okay, I was looking at this Ultra Strategy game.
Oh, that's cool. Apparently, Drexler is a big music person. That's why they brought up music. Both shows were scored by Kunio Miyuachi, who felt the need to do who they say provided a nice brassy soundtrack, brassy soundscape, according to the email. It definitely gets repetitive, as you've noticed. That said, Sajakstar prefers Isao Tomita, who scored Mighty Jack.
Okay.
He just thinks they've done a lot. Their work is just better in terms of Surai shows. Some of Ultraman instrumental scores were originally made as vocal songs released on vinyl before instrumental versions were made for the show. There's apparently some vocal tracks for Ultra Q as well. He links some translated versions of the songs in the email, and so I can put those in the links. So Ultraman features the first of many scores by Torio Fuyuki, who definitely keeps similar to the era, but has a more upbeat tone when they need to.
Mm-hmm.
This is speaking of Seven. We've noted that the show has a greater emphasis on intelligent species as focus. As just a general thing to expect. Don't expect references to the previous shows. As we talked about, there's more of a standalone clean break thing. But they say soon we're gonna see why the show is so highly regarded among the fans. And there's more stuff they want to say about 7, but we'll get to it when we get to it. And they also thanking me because I sent them more stuff for the spreadsheet, because, you know, they have their own spreadsheet that's more public. And then
Mel, I have found a let's play of this game done by on Nico Video
Oh my goodness.
from a channel where it is done by, I believe this is a Toho girl, animated with like robot commentary.
Okay. That's wild.
I've also found it just like complete, like the intro just like completely blank on YouTube, no commentary or anything. But I found this incredible link that I'm sending to you right now.
Oh my god.
This was the best I could find for this because it's got a part 2. It might have a part 15.
Okay. All right. I mean, it's a strategy game, so I guess
this might be a full playthrough. Oh, I found the actual gameplay. It's in part 2.
Oh, yes, that's
like,
that's a Reimu head.
Yeah.
Oh, that's old PC music, all right.
It's crazy. It's
wild.
Anyway, yeah. I'm happy I found that.
Did you see Busca?
I did not see Buska.
Let me just get a picture. I can describe it.
Is it just a Buska?
No, I got the picture. I'll just send it in the chat. It's Booska.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, it's just normal.
Yeah. There you go.
I was I was seeing this. Yes.
Yeah, so
Cool. Cute guy.
So yeah, Busca has his own show. It was originally like on our version of the spreadsheet because, you know, I was just putting a bunch of super ass stuff on there, but, you know, obviously not translated and also way too long and, you know,
tangential.
Yeah, it's a bit much for us to just be like, oh yeah, we're gonna look at everything.
Yes. It's time for our Busca coverage.
It's already, our list is crazy long.
It is.
I mean, there's stuff that we'll have to figure out for like other things we might find neat, but, you know, well, that's off mic discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Cydrexar, for your email.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna be watching more of this video. I need to see it.
Oh my god.
It's I believe at some point it shows it's got I saw a grid. I saw
a grid.
Little monsters on it.
Instead of I saw a bird.
I saw a grid. All right. Well, I think that's us. I think we've recorded it.
We fucking did it.
I
feel a lot better now.
Yeah.
I felt pretty bad the other day.
It was not great on Sunday. Didn't feel great about losing that audio.
Vibes were
feel
off.
better.
Feel better now.
Mm-hmm. All right. Plugs. If you want to follow the show, you can do so at @ultra_Q on Twitter. That is at @ultra_QUEUE. Don't follow me on Twitter. I posted another half-hearted Gundam, just like random Gundam tweet, and it got into hundreds of faves again, and I was like, no, stop it. I'm a tiny account. I don't like this attention. So yeah, you know, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I guess, but don't. All right, Mel, your plugs.
Okay, you can follow me on Twitter and co-host at Geocrowns. We got podcast email, ultraqpod@gmail.com. Send us emails. We like them. Got YouTube, UltraQ. That's for like YouTube versions of the podcast. Maybe you're watching this on there instead. So, you know, you got options. We got a coffee as a tip jar, UltraQ Fund. That's just, you know, more for media acquisition, ideally at some point sub-commissioning stuff, because there's stuff on our list we just don't have
that is not available.
Yeah,
it's just not available.
So
but it could be with effort.
Yeah,
and that requires money.
There's more to help me do it, so I'm not just do my own stuff, which I'd probably do anyway. This just helps me not make bad decisions, or make my decisions less bad, I guess. But yeah, it's a tip jar. It's not like Patreon or anything. Don't feel obligated. It's just nice. And he's not here, but other co-host Razin. He's at Razin Brad on Twitter, on YouTube. So
he's posting pics of Canada.
Yeah, in the mountains.
Seems like he's having fun.
Yeah, I've never been that far west, but he's having a good time.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a podcast. Yeah. Next week, 3 more episodes of Ultraseven, and also, as usual, now an episode of Blazer. They're both pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.
No disasters this time.
We did it.
And that's not jinxing anything, because jinxes aren't real.
Attack the homicide fighter. 7 Ultra 7. Let's go. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7. Strike the ice like a hero. 7 Ultra.